Welcome to the Business Bravery podcast, inspiring stories from coaches and course creators to help you do the next brave thing in your business. Coming up on the Business Bravery podcast.
I think people who sometimes struggle with sales is that they haven't yet learned they haven't mastered or even tried to master the fine art of conversation. I've sold millions of dollars worth of products over the years in the online world since 2006, and a lot more than that before in the offline world when I was in the financial services industry. But it was all about conversations. So I just thought, to hell with that. I'm not going to follow the script. I'm going to do it the way I believe it should be done, and I'm going to prove that it can work. And as a result of that, making money and all the rest of it, the company ended up asking me to run global trainings on how to handle the phone. So I was vindicated. So happy about that.
Yeah. I'm your host, Tiffany Gilliland, an Australian business and mindset coach with 10 years experience in online marketing and the creator of the Business Bravery framework. I help coaches like you to be brave so you can stop dreaming and start doing that next big brave step and finally make more impact and get more clients. From speaking on camera to selling to launching, my approach to bravery helps you take bigger leaps without the mindset spirals. It's the secret ingredient to bigger results. In this episode, I had the pleasure of chatting with Kim Willis, another fellow Australian who is a master storyteller and million-dollar seller for solopreneurs, founders, and entrepreneurs. Kim Willis cut his teeth in the direct sales industry. Starting at age 19, he sold books door to door. Other ventures followed, but one of the keys to success was his ability to bring ideas, concepts, and products to life through compelling storytelling. When he joined the world of online marketing in 2006, he brought his belly-to-belly sales skills to the digital table. Within a month, he created a full-time income as a newly hatched affiliate marketer. Since then, he has personally sold millions of dollars of products and services. This is an amazing episode, and I can't wait to share with you Kim's stories of business bravery, past, present, and future. Now, who's ready for some business bravery inspiration? Let's dive in. I am here with the amazing Kim Willis, an amazing coach who I have gotten to know through some networking groups here in Australia, and he's over on LinkedIn doing amazing stuff, and he has been in the online business for quite some time, so I'm very keen to get into all of his experiences, business bravery experiences and everything. So Kim, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me about your business bravery adventures today. And yeah, let us know in your own words, tell us about your business, what you're doing, and what brave things you are doing in your business right now.
Oh, nothing too brave at the moment, but I'll give you the quick version. Yeah, thanks, by the way. Thanks, Tiffany. Yeah, thanks for the invitation. I really appreciate it, and got a lot of respect for what you're doing with your podcast and other things. I come from a kind of a sales and marketing background. I started knocking on doors selling books in Sydney, Australia, when I was, I think, 18 thereabouts, around age 18, yeah. And I didn't do very well there, but I did make some sales after a very difficult, very nerve-wracking start. I had the mentor come out with me 2 weeks after I started, and I hadn't made any sales. And he was the number one seller in the world, so I was very nervous having him accompany me. But I was also not honoured, but I just saw it as a tremendous opportunity to be mentored by the number one in the world. So he was my first mentor, and then I've had many others since then. But yeah, so that's how I got started in the world of sales. Basically, I'm quite a shy person, so my mother wanted me to go into sales because she said it would help you get out of your comfort zone and overcome your chronic shyness. So I did that for not for very long. It was less than 6 months, but from there I did an interview with a company called National Mutual, and ended up being hired by them on the financial services type of company. and did their training, their 2-week training, They paid me to attend the training. Good. And then I started learning how to sell intangibles. And, I was in that industry for 15 years, so something must have been working okay for me. But the big takeout there was, learning how to sell intangibles. The skill could then be leveraged into selling other types of intangibles. That was like life insurance, superannuation, retirement plans, etc. Intangibles, you can't touch it. It's not like a car. Cars are easy to sell. If you've got a great car, you just show it to somebody, take it for a test drive. Oh, I want this thing. So it's not like that. But it helped me in later years when I started to sell other things, such as just various opportunities, business opportunities, franchise opportunities, and then services for marketers, service-based packages. They're all intangibles because you can't actually touch it, feel it, taste it. You can't do any of that. People sign up and they may end up spending a little bit of money or a lot of money with you, but they're doing it on faith because they haven't got the physical thing to, play with. So, but that's how I got started. Like I say, then into the insurance industry. I was in that industry for 15 years. And then from there, not that long after, in 2006, I decided I wanted to make money online. So I found an opportunity, signed up, paid my 10 grand, and learned how to, generate leads online. So that was an eye opener because didn't know anything about the online world. I had an email account, that was about it. And we had a website for our traditional business. And so I had another mentor for that, and she taught me how to generate leads. So that was like Google AdWords, paid traffic. And the good thing about the leads is that they came with a phone number. So, and the deal was that the mentor said, here is the deal. I'll help you generate your first leads, construct your first campaigns on Google AdWords. But guess what? I said, what? She said, you're going to have to phone them. And I said, oh, okay. Well, I'd never phoned anybody for years. I hadn't phoned any leads for years. When I was in the insurance industry, the financial services industry, my wife became a partner in the brokerage business that we had there. And she took over all of the calling, and I didn't do anything. So I'd spent years and years and years out of that, out of that arena. And then all of a sudden, my first foray into the online marketing space, my mentor says you have to phone the leads. And so there was a fear. That was a fear. I developed over the previous 10 years a morbid pathological fear of answering the phone or picking up the phone.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a fear there. I had a phobia about it. But I'd spent the 10 grand on this opportunity, and I thought, well, I'm not walking away from that $10,000. That was in 2006, so not a huge amount, but in today's money, it's probably at least 20,000. Yeah. I thought, on principle, I'm not walking away. I'm gonna confront the fear and do it anyway. Oh. So after a couple of weeks of making a real mess of these leads that I was phoning, finally started to break through. And then by the end of that first month, I'd made $9,000, $9,200. The next month it was about 17,000. The third month was 25,000. So that was when I said to my wife, right, forget about it. You can look after our financial brokerage. I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. And here I am. 15 years later.
Yeah. Oh man, I really resonate with that, because I don't enjoy getting on phone calls. I much prefer, I like getting on Zoom calls because I can see somebody's body language and I can kind of see whether they're understanding me or that kind of thing, and how I can maybe sort of say things in a different way. But yeah, at the moment I also get some leads where I've got to do phone calls, and it's like, I'm getting better at it, but it used to be like 10 to 15 minutes to psych myself up to call someone.
Yeah.
Just because you don't know where the conversation's going to go. It's not the same as when someone signs up for a sales call, at least for me. And so the conversation could go anywhere. So I really resonate with that. And just, how did you end up, like you said, it was a mess in the beginning. What do you mean by that? What were you going through at that point?
The training system that the mentor, who was part of this larger company, had developed was about using a script, spiel, right? Yeah. Using a script, and you had to stick with the script.
Right? Word for word to script.
Word for word. Oh. So forget about your personality. You just do what the script tells you to do, you know?
Yeah.
And so at the end of 2 weeks, maybe it was 10 days or something like that, I said to Tanya, she's from the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, and I said, Tanya, I'm not going to walk away from this money that I've spent, but I cannot use this script. I can't do it. And I thought she might get angry with me or something like that. She said, well, you come from a background, successful background in belly-to-belly sales and doing all of that stuff in the financial industry, etc. I'm going to be guided by you. You know more about talking to people than I do. I'm going to be guided by you. You go with your gut and do what you think is right. And we talk again in 1 week in 7 days, the following Friday. And I said, thanks, Tanya, I appreciate that. And so then I just threw out the script, flicked it into the bin.
Did that feel?
Yeah.
Must have been amazing.
And then I started with the new way, my way.
Yeah.
And basically I just had a bullet point framework. I just had that in front of me in case I needed to use it to refer to it. And I just started talking to people as human beings, saying, okay, you've made an inquiry about this thing that I'm going to be talking to you about today, and just was curious what prompted your interest. And they started talking, and then I started bouncing off their answers, and just became very natural conversations. And that's, I think, people who sometimes struggle with sales is that they haven't yet learned they haven't mastered or even tried to master the fine art of conversation. I've sold millions of dollars worth of products over the years in the online, world since 2006, and a lot more than that before in the offline world when I was in the financial services industry. But it was all about conversations. So I just thought, to hell with that. I'm not going to follow the script. I'm going to do it the way I believe it should be done, and I'm going to prove that it can work. And as a result of that, making money and all the rest of it, the company ended up asking me to run global trainings on how to handle the phone. So I was vindicated. So happy about that. Yeah. And the other thing is that fear of the phone that I had, obviously I demolished that fear, and I ended up, before I got out of that industry, I ended up making well over 10,000 phone calls. So, when you make that many calls over, a long period of time, your fear is going to largely disappear.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I didn't feel what's the word? Small, just a small dose of fear on the Monday morning when I started back in again. But I developed a little pattern there to overcome the fear. And basically what I did was that I made easy calls first, calls that I knew were easy, because these leads that I was getting, they had to fill out a little inquiry form. And the ones that gave me the best answers seemed to me to be the hottest. So I phoned them first, that kind of thing. Yeah. And then once I'd broken the ice on the Monday morning with a few of those calls, then I started phoning the other leads. Yeah. And by then I was running red hot, kind of unstoppable. And then, awesome. And then when I started again in on the next morning, on the Tuesday, it didn't matter by then, because I was sort of, I was back in the zone for another week.
Yeah.
Go for the weekend, not make any calls, and back on Monday morning again. I need that little rev up on Monday morning. You've got to find your own method, I guess, to overcome the fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fear is, we all experience fear. I guess it's just how we manage it.
Yeah. Yeah. What works for you with that fear? Like, I know you kind of said sort of doing so many of them that it helped break through the fear, and then starting with the easy ones. Do you have anything else, like when you've got something that you've got to do that hits the fear button?
Anger.
Oh yeah.
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 Some people say, oh, you shouldn't never be angry in business or anything like that. Alone. Or if, I'm saying angry with myself. I don't get angry with other people very often.
Yeah.
But angry with myself. And, some of these positive thinking gurus say, oh, no, you've got to keep patting yourself on the back. To hell with it. Sometimes you just got to beat yourself up a bit. And that's what works for me, because it gets the adrenaline pumping.
Okay. Yeah.
And adrenaline, when you've got a higher adrenaline, it's like people that go up in the plane, the first time, or even the 100th time, they want to do a parachute jump. What gets them to finally jump out of the plane? They must have their adrenaline is pumping. Anybody who says it is a liar.
Yeah.
It's pumping.
Yeah.
So if I was really like, we went on a family holiday for a couple of weeks, then it was really hard getting back into it on the Monday morning.
Yeah.
And there were some times where I just couldn't stomach it. So I said, right, I'm going to abandon it for today and I'll start again Tuesday morning, right? Yeah. But by Tuesday morning, I was pumped, and I sort of, if it wasn't at the optimum level, I had some harsh words to say to myself. And that got the adrenaline pumping. And then I just went walking around and then, you fool, you idiot, and all this sort of stuff. And then I just walked purposefully into my study, sat down, picked up the phone, the numbers were there, bang, one, ringy dingy one, ringy dingy two, and so on. It was anger. A little bit of anger. Well, help definitely helps me, even now.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I find that interesting, just because, like, for me, I definitely spent a whole bunch of my life using that sort of like that anger and beating myself up a lot to try and get myself to take action. And for me, like the adrenaline, that's when I start stumbling over my words more and can't put them together. It's like I have to have a process to kind of get I think I already have naturally sort of like high adrenaline anyway, so it's like I've got to get it down to a point where it's just like I can sort of ease into it and just be okay with whatever happens, and just like trusting myself to say the right words on calls or conversations or even podcasts like this. So, sort of.
Well, you find your own formula, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but I mean, it's definitely, it's definitely been powerful for you, though. I mean, like, you've had this long career. I mean, you said at the beginning you were doing door-to-door sales, and you had some similar experiences having to break through there. Did you have that kind of anger and things to pump you up in that side of things as well, as you were just getting into sales? Or?
Yeah, I think I did. I hated door-to-door. I really hated it. But sometimes I just walk. I didn't want to knock on that first door, so I'd walk around, I'd walk up and down the street. I'd just a bit of exercise, something physical, power walk to the end of the street, and then come back again.
Yeah.
See? So once again, that perhaps helps to boost adrenaline and say exhortations to myself. Come on, Willis, you can do it. Come on, do it. What are you, a coward? No. I'll do it.
Yeah.
I had these discussions with myself at someone's house. Some of them looking and saying, what the heck is this guy doing? But I'm not angry all the time. I just then when I started, same with the phone calls. Once I get started, after maybe the first call or first two calls, I'm a bit rough around the edges, but all of a sudden something will start clicking for me, and then anger goes and excitement takes over. So there's a crossover. Yeah, there's a crossover point there.
Yeah.
And that's the best place to be. I don't want to be angry. I want to be excited and enthused and motivated and passionate. Because when I'm in that mental state, I can help more people and they can sense it. And over the phone is incredible. This is why, like when I started traveling, I didn't really have access to the phone. So if I wanted to call people back home in Australia, I'm from Brisbane, but if I want to call people back home, I had to sort of buy Skype credits and use Skype. This is before Zoom, right?
Yeah.
And then I'd phone them. But what I found was that the connection wasn't always good. It wasn't always crystal clear.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And not as good as a phone. Whereas back home in Australia, in Brisbane, when I was phoning leads, I was using my landline, and if it went to someone else's landline, the connection was usually very clear, and I could hear in the voice. I could almost hear their body language. You know, that's how good you can get when you're communicating at that high level. You can hear them breathing. You know, if there's a sigh or something like that, I can pick it up. And but if I phoned their mobile number from my landline, it was sometimes not as good, and I couldn't quite hear what was happening. I could hear them talking, but it was the music in the words or lack of music, you know, that I was able to pick up on better when it was landline to landline. But you just do what you can do, you know. And then there were other times when I didn't call by a landline. There was a reason for that, but that's more of a cunning reason for it. If they wouldn't answer my call from my landline number, I'd phone them from my mobile. I had two landline numbers. I had 2 landline numbers and 3 mobile numbers. So 3 mobile phones, right? So I'd phone them from my mobile phone. Then they answer because they didn't recognise the number, right? Then it was mobile to mobile, and the quality dropped a little bit more. So, you know, I just noticed, when you get to that high level of competence, you notice the smallest things that you wouldn't otherwise notice because you don't know what you're looking for. You know, you don't have that acute sensitivity. So, you know, that's phone technique, getting off the point. But
hey, I'm taking notes. I mean, like I still have to phone people and stuff like that. Like there's people in business, they respond to phone calls rather than being online at times. So
that's one thing. When Zoom started to become a big thing, I found it difficult initially to do video like we're doing now, because I was so used to just the voice, right? And I could listen intently to what they're saying. I didn't have to look at anybody. I was taking notes, and I was able to extract some great insights from the people that I was talking to. And, you know, from there, we could look at opportunities that I could help them, how I could help them, all because of what I was hearing just from the voice. So there was a bit of a learning curve for me to accommodate the new technology where we've got voice plus vision. And now I'm fine. I mean, I've done lots of these calls, so it's nothing. But I still think that if you know what you're doing, the phone is a phenomenal tool.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that also sort of dovetails into why like podcasts themselves are so powerful, because, you know, you're getting in someone's ear, they can be processing it in a different way. And I think like they might even remember a bit more of the conversation than if they're just looking at you and picking up the body language and stuff too from memory. So
sometimes with the Zoom calls, our minds tend to wander a bit more, I think, compared to a phone call, one-to-one phone call. But actually, I attended. It was just a random thing. It was via LinkedIn. I attended my first audio event, LinkedIn audio event last week, because I've been reading a little bit about them, and I thought maybe something I should look at. And then all of a sudden, I was just on my LinkedIn and I was posting some content, I think, something like that. And I just on the bottom left of my screen, my computer screen, this little promo from LinkedIn popped up. and said, this topic is now live. Do you want to attend or something like that, right? And it's audio. I thought, audio event, yes. And the topic interests me.
Yeah.
2 yeses. So I clicked on it and I started listening to it and I really enjoyed it. So it was my first audio event. It's like a podcast, really, except it was live.
Okay.
But I became a hot lead for the guy that was running the event. That's how powerful it was.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine actually. And I've seen actually some more like podcasts are doing their recording of the podcast live, like with big audiences and things like that too. And yeah, gosh, it's very interesting how that's going. So yeah.
Yeah, like what you said, it's the same with podcasts, even a recorded podcast. You just listen to one thing. There's no distractions, or there shouldn't be. And you're just listening to the message. And you're not looking at people moving around, scratching their ear and all the rest of it. You're just listening to the message. And so I want to do something like that myself on LinkedIn. I think it's a great idea. Audio.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't even know they were doing audio events. So is that something that anybody who's on LinkedIn, they can run one, or you've got to have a certain amount of followers? And
I think there might be a minimum. I know because I run live LinkedIn events for clients, my clients.
Yeah.
And there's like full video. And with the live streaming video platform, I think you've got to have 150 connections or something like that minimum.
Okay.
That's not much.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, there's some sort of minimum requirement.
Okay.
I think I did see something there on the LinkedIn audio. There is a minimum requirement of connections. There may be more than that. I can't remember, but something. Yeah. Nothing to trouble people like you or me.
And
yeah.
does that work a bit like, don't judge me for this, but like an event on Facebook where it's like you set up a date and time and it's like, here's when it's going to happen. And then you get people to opt in or, say they're going to attend. And then once it starts, then it goes out to them and they log in and Yeah,
but they'll also display it to other people within that person's network. And that's how I saw it, because I didn't register for that event at all. I didn't even know about it.
Yeah.
So it was just a random, promotion that LinkedIn ran, say we thought you might be interested in this.
Yeah.
And as it turned out, I was interested in it. So that's the power of LinkedIn. They'll do some of the marketing for you.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So for anybody listening, like my eyes have lit up and I've just seen a new shiny thing and now I need to go check this out. I'm so excited. I'm like, oh, it sounds cool.
I've only been on the LinkedIn platform. Well, I've only been using it properly for 2 years. But before then it was, Facebook for 6 years. And I really like it. I know you're big on Instagram, but for B2B, I think LinkedIn is pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, look, LinkedIn is definitely in my sights. I made the shift like you from Facebook to something because Facebook was kind of felt like a mug's game by the end of it there. Right. I mean, I'm still on there a little bit in the groups and stuff but yeah, then Instagram got a bit more fun because they got less perfectionist over there and there was a bit more fun with the reels and video and stuff being more prominent and stuff. Whereas years ago, Instagram had to look like a magazine and all that kind of pressure of perfectionism, which I didn't enjoy. But yeah.
Yeah, right. So it's a bit more, of a fun platform.
Yeah. And I liked that, like, it's totally normal to send a message over there to someone you don't know to like start a connection over there, which you can do on LinkedIn as well. I think I just found LinkedIn a bit intimidating. I felt like that needed to be, you've got to be a certain level of professional. And it's like, I didn't feel that at the time.
I think it's probably a bit less of that now.
Yeah.
I think maybe one of the things that happened during COVID was that a lot of people were finding Facebook very difficult because there was just an influx of people sitting at home trying to figure out how to make money during lockdowns, and so it was just deluged. There was a deluge of new marketers selling stuff on Facebook, and a lot of them got dissatisfied with the whole tone and ambience of the platform. So some of them, including me, looked at moving over to LinkedIn. So some of them brought some of their Facebook-oriented ideas to LinkedIn. So LinkedIn became a little less stuffy, if you like.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So now you've got all sorts of different types of content on LinkedIn. Some of it's cool. So it's not. I mean, it's not like Instagram, but it's become more accommodating of different styles.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
I really enjoy it.
Yeah. So what kind of things are you doing on LinkedIn, like for your clients, and what sort of stuff are you doing these days? So.
Well, it mainly revolves around messaging. So we've got text-based messaging in the form of LinkedIn posts, blog posts if I've got a blog, and then you've got video-based messaging, audio as we mentioned. So that's content, okay, but it's another form of messaging. And then you've got conversations. So that's also messaging. So if somebody replies, or not replies, but comments on one of your posts, what are you going to do? Just ignore them, or are you going to reply to their comment? To keep the momentum up, So that's messaging. And then we've got the tool, the direct messaging tool. So they may send you a message. How are you going to conduct yourself? How are you going to, respond to their message? Or maybe they send you a message. Or maybe you send them a message. How are you going to? What are you going to say? Like I've sent nearly 20 messages before I come on this call to people who are new connections, and I've been behind. So some of them connected with me like 6 weeks ago because I've just been so behind on my work. And I do have a VA, but there are sometimes I want to do the messaging myself. So I sent out about 18. I'll probably do another 2 before the day is out. So I wrote a little message. What am I going to say to these people? They're new connections. They don't know me from Adam. What am I going to say? So I wrote up a little script. Okay, this was a script. Yeah, scripts are good when it's just posting a message. I just said, "Hi, John," and then the script, and not a picture or anything. It's just friendshipping. I'm not trying to pitch people. If anything, they pitch me. So I just want to open a relationship. That's all the pressure off. Just want to open a relationship. Can we do that? We're on social media for a reason. One of the reasons would be about building relationships, right? So let's do that. Let's open a relationship. But you've got to have the right words to say. Otherwise, they might pull back and go something. We don't want that. So I sent out a bunch, and I'll be sending out some more this week. I want to catch up with all the backlog. But so it's all about messaging. And the more effective we are at communicating with people via our messaging, the more money we're going to make. That's the ultimate. That's the end result. So we want them to respond. Number one, that's the first goal. The second goal would be to open a conversation and have an interesting conversation with people. And then maybe 1 in 10 will become a lead or something like that. I'm not being aggressive here. I take a kind of fairly low key approach because I don't want to jeopardize a relationship if I can avoid it. An example, I've got 2 people today who've sent me an email, people that I've been cultivating. I'm more of a farmer than a hunter now. Okay, so I'll just throw that in. And I've been cultivating these 2 people. One is in Melbourne, the other is in Sydney. And these are people that I met on LinkedIn, but now we're dialoguing through email. We've already done a call together with both of these people. I've already done calls with them. And now I'm in that transitionary stage where I've identified that they have a need for what I do, which is to help them with their messaging because their LinkedIn messaging is not very good, even though they're successful, but they're successful in other ways. Oh my God, the phone. I'll shut it down there. Yeah, it's gone.
No.
I know who it is. It's my partner. She'll forgive me. Yeah. So what was I saying?
Oh, you're a
Yeah.
cultivator.
So I've
You're
been
cultivating.
cultivating people,
Mm,
and now they're sending me stuff. Can you
yeah.
have a look at this for me, please? I really
Mm,
appreciate it. Value you so much. And one of them said, "Oh, today," she said, "Please, I don't expect you to do many freebies for me. I'm more than happy to pay."
yeah.
You know. So this started with a LinkedIn connection,
Yeah.
months ago.
Yeah.
Now it's toing and throwing on via emails,
Mm,
sharing stuff. I'm sharing stuff.
yeah.
Relationships.
Mm, yeah.
I'm not
I'm
pitching them. They know
no.
what I do. They know how good I am. So I don't
Yeah.
need to pitch. I
Yeah.
might give them a little nudge every now and again, a gentle nudge.
Yeah.
But ultimately, if you've got a strong relationship and they've been educated properly about what you do or what we
Mm,
do,
yeah.
they'll see the need for it sooner or later.
Mm, yeah. And the educating properly, that do you do that on the call, or like also
Oh
through
yeah,
just through your content interactions and stuff too?
yeah,
And
all of that on the call,
mm,
definitely on the call.
yeah.
But part of my follow-up
Mm,
procedure, or strategy, I send them some tips.
mm,
So I've
yeah.
got my little mailing list,
Yeah.
and I'll send them some tips. No call to action, no pitch, no offer, nothing.
Mm,
Just say, "Hey, I thought you might like these little ideas that have been working well for me on my LinkedIn.
yeah.
Maybe you can apply them. They're pretty easy to apply. I'll give you 3 right now,
Mm,
and I'll give you another 3 in a few days' time."
mm,
And most of the time they reply, "Oh wow, these are really good. Number 2, I really love number 2. I'm going to start using it straight away."
mm,
I don't
yeah.
mind giving away information.
Yeah.
And then other times, if I,
Mm.
that's the one bad thing I hate about living in this part of the world. Mosquitoes will drive me nuts.
Oh well.
There's no screens on this, insect screens here.
Yeah.
You either have the doors closed all day with the aircon on, or you open the doors and get the fresh air. So, but here come the mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I just don't want to get dengue fever. That's the main thing. But yeah, so what was I saying? Oh yeah, if there's a post,
Mm,
I publish a post and it gets a good response from my followers, I think, well, who else would like this post? Oh,
mm,
I know, maybe some of the people on my email list.
mm.
All right, so I'll select some and pick the right post for the right person. This is where
Oh,
it's so
wow.
important to know your audience. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking, okay, the post last night won't be suitable for Mary, Bill, John, but it
Mm,
will be suitable for these people. I'll send it out. See, I've been thinking of them. It's tailored. It's relevant.
mm,
And for some of the other people that's not relevant, I'll find another post that I might have published last week,
yeah.
and I'll send that out. Say, hey, I think this might help you. It's
Mm,
something about this little problem and how I solved it, and I think it might be relevant for you.
yeah.
And they're getting this helpful stuff, not asking to do anything.
Mm,
And they're thinking, wow, who is this Kim Willis guy? He's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a wow
Exactly.
factor, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. The wow factor and helping them with something without asking for something in return,
There's no
and
strings.
getting to know them, and yeah, building a relationship. Like,
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, yeah. I'm so glad you talked about that. At the moment, I'm running the Business Bravery Challenge, like during this week, and it's all about helping people, turn strangers into clients online, and it's all this relationship building stuff. But it doesn't sound as sexy as, oh, make thousands of dollars in a week. It's like, hey, here's how we get over our fear, what you and I have been talking about, and just do the thing and message strangers and start building relationships and stuff. So yeah. I'm
Yeah,
glad it's
well,
not just me doing this stuff. Like, it seems normal to me now, but it's something I avoided and put off, or I wouldn't
yeah.
do. Like, I didn't have a process for it, and so it would get forgotten when I got busy with service-based work. Do you have a process, and it's like it happens every day? And do you like track people, or do you track it all in your mind and remember?
I've got spreadsheets, so everyone is on the spreadsheet, and I have different like
Yeah.
that. I am more organised than some people might think. But so my attitude is that if we talk about, the fact that we're aligned in terms of our business getting philosophy, it's either this method, which I believe is the right method, or it's either, what are the options? Okay, pitching people cold on Facebook or Instagram, LinkedIn, and getting 99% rejection rate.
Yeah.
So that's your second option. And the third option is to spend a small fortune or a big fortune on say, Facebook ads.
Yeah.
Picking a cold audience once again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what makes more sense? So let's forget the gurus and all those get rich quick, I call them bro marketers. And they're not all now, by the way. There's plenty of smart, whatever you want to call them, but I feel like I call them something else sometimes. But on Facebook, I used to call them the bro marketers. Hey, come on, let's F and this and this
and see me standing in front of this Porsche that I rented
come
for the weekend.
Come on, we can do it. Just come on, let's kick butt today and all this sort of crap.
Yeah.
What they don't tell you is that although those hyper aggressive methods might work for the bro marketer, the leader, they don't duplicate for ordinary people. That's the problem. But because they're essentially con men or women, they don't tell you that. I've had one who's been pitching me, and I play a little game. I say, okay, what are the success rates for your students? Oh, I've got this one over here. I've got a case study here, and I've got another one over here. I said, that's not what I asked. I asked for success rate, the rate. You've put through 100 students through your, mastermind. What percentage of people have at least got their money back, or have, or even better, created a full-time income for themselves? That's when I go quiet, because I know what the answer is. The answer is the percentage who've even got their money back is low. It's definitely less than 50%. And those who have made a full-time income, it'd be lucky to be 1% or 2%. So anybody can cite an example here and an example there of someone who did well. In other words, another bro marketer just like them. A hustler without a conscience kind of thing. But most people are not like that. And that's why they can't implement these extreme strategies. So your method, my method, that's the right way to go for the vast majority of people, because it's comfortable, doable, and it's duplicatable.
I mean, before I did it this way though, like I was using some Facebook ads, and I would bring people to a challenge or something where I taught something and I built rapport through that kind of thing. So but even that, like the Facebook ads costs just became astronomical. And it definitely wasn't, like, it was okay while I had my part-time day job to help fund it and learn through all that. But it hasn't been a replacement for building solid relationships and actually having a solid network for me. Like that's where things have been working better for me.
Much better. If you're going to use, if you've got a budget, if someone's got a budget for ads, don't run typical funnel type ads. Don't do that at all. If your content is strong, this is on that key assumption that your content is super strong, just boost your content. So just more people will see it. That's the best marketers I know on LinkedIn. That's all they do. They don't do all that traditional high pressure. Oh, I've got an offer for you. Come on, watch this video. You'll get rich and all this sort of stuff. None of that. All they do, they've got a good post that they published organically on LinkedIn, or you can do it on Facebook as well. It's a good post. It worked organically. Just boost the damn thing. Just boost it. And then you'll get more followers. And then the followers will then be immersed in your world, your content world. But like I say, the content's got to be really strong.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like for me, I wasn't sending people to anything that was like, oh, you've got to buy from me now. It was always with a teaching and making sure they came away with something. And then it was always sort of, hey, if you're feeling a vibe, like we could work on this and help you get more of a result by spending more time together and, like I had people take that up, but it just, ended up just being like the cost of ads just went really high once Facebook couldn't track people anymore because all that got blocked by Apple and all that. And that's when that was not really cost effective for me anymore. But yeah. So,
Right. No, I think it's better just to do things naturally, organically, and build your audience, build followers, and business flow out the back end.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm glad I've done it this way now because I've definitely built more skills. And like you said, the art of conversation has definitely led to more sales and things like that for me. Whereas before it was kind of easier to hide in that whole, oh, well, I've got the ads running and, oh, I'm busy with my clients, and I didn't have to face that and face, potential rejection as much and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just, sometimes we do those things and we've got to learn the hard way, So yeah.
Well, that's right. You do have to get out of your comfort zone with like prospecting and cultivating people.
Yeah.
Like when I was, like I said it before, when I started with in the online world, my coach showed me how to use Google AdWords. So for 3 years it was good. I was getting leads every day from Google AdWords. But then Google decided to institute a global shutdown. Well, technically I was an affiliate marketer, so they got closed down. There's over 100,000 of us who had their accounts closed instantly.
Oof.
And so all of a sudden, at that point when they closed me down, I was making, I mean, it wasn't huge money, but it was like every day that I spent money on ads, I was making thousands of dollars, right?
Yeah.
And so it was about 10,000 a week. And then they closed me down, and I wasn't the biggest. Some of the bigger players, well, I know one of them who committed suicide.
Oof. Ouch.
Because he was making millions and had the mansion and all the rest of it, but he couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
So that's when I decided I had to pivot and gradually started moving into the social media world. And that was cool, Facebook, etc., because I wasn't comfortable with that, with being social, using social platforms and prospecting and talking to people and all of that in a natural way. But like you say, you do it. You get used to it. And then sometimes you start to like it a bit.
Yeah. I mean, you had those skills from doing the phone sales before that, right? So I guess like you would have already known, it's like, hey, I know I can conquer this. Did you approach it in that maybe similar way?
With the phone sales, they were inbound leads. That's different.
Oh, okay.
So from ads, so people were inquiring. They had a problem and they wanted some help with it.
Yeah.
Whereas, prospecting on LinkedIn or Facebook or even Instagram, you've got to initiate. You have to initiate. You don't know whether they've got a problem or whether, they have an interest or, in your solution or anything like that. So, I found that quite difficult to start with, and I avoided it a bit. Like anything, keep doing it. The fear subsides and you prevail.
Yeah. I find for me, I have this stubbornness about this whole having my own business thing, that it's just like, I might avoid something for a long time and then it's like, okay, I've tried everything else. All right, I have to try this other way now because this is only getting me these results. And did you find a bit of that going on, or do you feel like that way inclined as well, of just
It's once again anger, dissatisfied with my wimpy attitude, and kept telling myself I'm not really a social person. Why am I doing this social media stuff and all that? But now it's like when I was making all those phone calls. When you pass that 10,000 call threshold, you've mastered it, and it no longer has power over you. And I think that's where we really want to be. I've still got lots of fears. I'm terrified of spiders and heights. Don't like heights, but I think most people, we get to that point where we have dominion over the fear. The fear no longer has power over us. That's a pretty good place to be.
Yeah. Yeah. So valuable to have that. And especially for like growing a business, but also for life in general as well, of just knowing you can handle all of these things, right? Like,
Oh, absolutely. Years I avoided public speaking. I used to get um, invites to give a talk on marketing or something like that.
yeah.
And this is before I was in the online world. And I turned the invites down because they could see when I talk to them one on one, they say, "Oh, you really know your stuff. You're really good at it." Blah blah blah.
Mm,
Actually, I've got a Chamber of Commerce meeting. I'm in the chats
mm,
with Chamber of Commerce, and I'm the vice president or whatever the title is. I'd
yeah.
love you to put some time aside and we'll let you give a talk.
Yeah.
And I say, well, when is the date for that? They say, oh, it'll be, September the 15th. I said, oh, hang on, let me check my diary here. Oh, I think I'm busy that night, And so I'd turned down many different offers to talk because of my fear of public speaking.
Yeah.
So in the end, there was a guy called Peter Sum, who's based on the Gold Coast.
Mm,
And I met him and he came down to Sydney and I met him at a hotel. And he said, look, why don't we do an interview series together and then we can package it up and sell them as modules for a course or something like that. But yeah, that'd be a great idea. And he said, and then so we did the interview series and did all of that. That was easy for me. But then he said, look, you know a lot of accountants in Sydney.
yeah.
I said, yeah, I do. No, quite a few, hundreds.
Mm,
And he said, why don't we put together a workshop for accountants, a practice marketing workshop? You can hire a room at a hotel and you and your wife can invite them along and, you can give a talk
mm,
and I'll give a talk.
yeah.
And I hadn't told him about my fear of public speaking at that point.
Yeah.
So I said, oh, look, I think I might be too busy for that day, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, he kept persisting.
Mm,
He said, look, I know you'd be great because we did the interview series together and you were terrific,
yeah.
1-to-1, What's the problem here?
Mm,
It's, speaking in front of a crowd, a group.
yeah. Yeah.
I said, well, actually, yeah, I think you got me, mate. And he said, look, don't worry about it, blah, blah, blah. So I ended up saying yes. That was
Mm,
my first foray into the world of public speaking.
mm,
I don't remember, it might have been 1992 or something like that. I can't remember. But
yeah.
so I said,
How many people were in the room when you did that one?
so anyway, we
Mm,
promoted the event to these accountants in Sydney,
yeah.
and they have to pay. It wasn't a freebie, but it
Yeah.
wasn't much. It was only like $55, and that covered the cost of catering
Yeah.
and told us how serious they were.
Mm,
I think we had 55
yeah.
front up, and which was quite good. And so I was the one who had to give the first talk. He came on second. I'm glad I did mine first. And despite the fact that I had prepared for it and rehearsed and all the rest of it,
Yeah.
I totally bombed. And it was so bad that it was like a 1 hour talk. So at about the 30-minute mark, I see all these people in the back row leaving. They
Oh.
walked out. I thought it
Oh.
was that bad.
Oh.
So yeah, then I was absolutely devastated, distraught. I think it's the
Mm,
right word. So then there was morning tea break,
yeah.
and then after that it was time for Peter Sun to give his talk. Fortunately, he salvaged the situation
Mm,
because he'd been doing public speaking for years.
yeah.
So he did a good talk, and he had a meeting out of the palm of his hand.
Mm.
So on the way home in the car, I said to my wife, I said, right, well, I'm never going to do public speaking again. That's the
Oh,
end of
really? Oh,
it.
yeah.
He said, oh, well, don't make a final decision just yet. Just
Mm,
let things settle down for a week or so, and it's up to you. You're the boss.
yeah.
Destiny. But she said, so she was wise. So I said, okay, I'll do that as a promise I make to you. But I'll let it sit for a week, and then we can talk again. And so at the end of the week, We sat down, had a glass of wine. She said, okay, what have you decided? I said, well, first time I tried to learn to ride a bike, I fell off the bike. But the kid that was teaching me how to ride the bike, he said, get back on the bike right now.
Yes.
Okay. All right, you sure? He said, yes, and I'll hold your seat there. So if you start wobbling, I'll keep it solid for you, and then keep going and you'll be fine. And he was right.
Yeah.
So that's what I said to my wife. I said, I told her that story about the bike, falling off the bike. And I think I better get back on the bike, get back in the saddle, and I'll do another talk. And that ushered in a new, sort of career as a public speaker. One after another. and they didn't walk out on me after that.
Yeah.
That was the first one. It was devastating, but I'm glad once again, we all have the fear, but how are we going to handle it? And I just kept saying to myself in that interim week period, I'd say, look, I'm not really a quitter. My voice has said to me, you've got to do it again, no matter how painful, you've got to do it again. So.
Yeah. And so just like practically, what did you adjust going into the second one? Were you like, okay, I'm going to do it this way, talk about it this way, and practice more, or like,
I thought I was well prepared with the first talk, the diabolical talk that I gave. But with the benefit of hindsight, I'd say I wasn't that well prepared. So what I did, the thing that I did that was different was that I did rehearsals in front of the mirror.
Yeah.
At home.
Yep.
Yeah. I did that. And then I'd have little prompter points, just a little hand pad. Or if I had a desk, or like, what do you call it? When you're giving a talk and you've got, what's that thing?
Like PowerPoint, you mean? Like, or, like a presentation meeting?
A pedestal. Is it a pedestal?
Something like OHT or something?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I could put paper there and I could just walk over and just...
the pedestal. Yeah. Podium or something. Yeah.
Podium, sorry, that's the word. I knew it started with P.
Yeah. And we knew what we meant.
Yeah. So once again, it was just like when I started doing the phone calls, I moved away from the script that the company gave me, but I just had little prompter points, prompter notes, just little headings. Yeah. Right. So I did the same thing with the public speaking, just little headlines.
Yeah.
And look, it's the old thing. If you know your subject well enough, you should be able to talk, for half an hour without a worry.
Yeah.
And although I did know my topic pretty well when I did that first terrible talk, I think just the nerves were just so huge that I just choked up completely, and I was, what. So I just thought, well, I try again, second talk, and I'll be better prepared. I'll do the rehearsals in front of the mirror, and hopefully my nerves will be a little bit less this time, so I won't have a total memory lapse. No, and that's what happened. Another thing. That's right. Another thing was that I used props. I don't know where I got this idea from, or whether I just came up with it myself, but just props. And so, like, I've got a prop here. It's a hat. When I was doing Facebook Lives, I had my guitar, a jazz guitar, play jazz, and I do 30-second ad-lib sequence or something like that, just to keep people watching. Props. All sorts of props, crazy props. And so I had props, right? So it's the physical thing. It took a bit of the pressure off me as I show them this, and there was a metaphor, right? I'd show them this little thing. So have a look at this. What do you think? What would you say that is right now, obviously? And they say, oh, it's a phone. So yeah, okay. So what does a phone really mean here? Why do we use a phone? What's the real reason we use a phone? Is it just a little device that we can talk to our friends on, or is it something more than that? What is it ultimately? And then so I'm asking them a question, and they start shouting, oh, it's a communication tool, it's a this, it's a that. Say, right, exactly. So now they're more relaxed and I'm relaxed.
Yes.
And I've made it. Then I can move into the real talk, and I've got my prompter notes, so piece of cake.
Yeah.
And then once I really got rolling, I'd do all sorts of funny things, like I'd tell them about a horrible experience and how I really wanted to beat myself up, and I'd just walk over to the back wall and just bash my head against the wall in front of the audience, and they start laughing their heads off. So that's when I realized that humor can work well as well.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's humour, anything. Sometimes I had a water pistol, I squirt people in the audience.
Mm.
People that I knew would not be offended. I wouldn't, yeah, sort of friends
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of thing.
Man, I've had that where I've been giving talks or something, and like where there's one person in the audience. Like, so in my background, I worked at the university here in my small town, and I was giving them talks on project management at the time. And these people had been like told that they had to come to my project management training. And yeah, I wasn't great in front of a room either, but there's always be one, and they'd be sitting up the back with their arms crossed. And it's like, if you're ever giving a talk and you get stuck on the person who just looks really angry, and you're just like, that's not a good place to be. And I could just imagine just like the water pistol in that situation, just being like, hey, snap out of it. You know,
Yeah.
smile or something, you know. Just,
I think you're right about that. Look at the person that's smiling at you.
yes.
That'll help your
Yeah.
confidence.
Yeah, I learnt that one the hard way. And I also want to say I too had the situation where I bombed in front of a crowd, but it was at university when like I was studying, and in my marketing degree, they always put us in groups and we had to give presentations, and it was just presentation after presentation and grooming you to be in corporate, whatever that means. Didn't go that road. But yeah, my first one, like the group, nobody wanted to talk, and I was like, okay, well, I'll do it. And I was terrible. And I stuttered and stammered through this talk, and they were like, everyone in my group, you could all see they just were sure that they should have done it themselves rather than me doing the presentation. So yeah, and like you, I came out of it going, well, I'm never going to do that again. But you know, I had to, and ended up in teaching roles, and you can't teach people stuff without ending up in front of a room and then teaching some more. So yeah. And just wanted to say you're not alone in that. I think we've all been there.
You got back on the bike and you started pedaling, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean,
once again, we don't want the fear to own us.
Yeah. Well,
Because
honestly,
there will always be fearful of that.
yeah, that's true. And actually, like, I don't know about you, but after that first one, it's like, well, you know, it can't get any worse. Like, it can only go up from here. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, I felt all of the shame and the feelings and the thoughts, like in my situation, and just going through all of that. It's just like, oh, well, you know, I handled it. I didn't die. I can try it again and change some things and do it differently. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah, just get back on the bike and do it again, and then over time you develop some proficiency and skills, and it's almost easy. Almost.
So I noticed through all these stories, you have a real like tenacity and just, you know, always getting back on the bike and stuff like that. You mentioned in like one of our communications just about a story you have with some school bullies. Is that maybe where you picked up this sort of tenacity? And if you don't mind me asking, if you don't feel like it fits in what we're doing, we can completely cut it out. But yeah,
I'm happy to share. As a kid, I was bullied often, and I've often wondered why me? Why did they pick on me? But pick on me, they did. And in primary school and secondary school, once I left secondary school, then bullying wasn't a problem. But in primary school, there was this teacher called Muir, Mr. Muir. This was in Brisbane. And we used to call him Bull Manure. Play on words. His name was Muir. Bull Manure.
Yeah.
And he was a nasty piece of work. And if he, in the modern age, he would have been sacked a long time ago. But anyway, one day in the class, before the class, after a break, before the teacher came back in, a few kids were mucking up, and we had inkwells, old style inkwells, and one of the kids got a nib type pen and started flicking ink all over the other kids on the back wall and all this sort of stuff. Anyway, he forced the teacher to resume his next session. In walks Bull. And Bull starts talking, and then he sees this ink on the back wall, and he sees some of the kids' ink on their shirts.
Mm.
He said, "Okay, who has been flicking ink in my class, my hallowed sanctuary?"
Mm.
No, no one was going to volunteer. He said, "Okay, I'm going to hold you back for 3 hours." And then all of a sudden, the ringleader starts pointing over to me.
I had a feeling you were
He
going
said
there.
it was Willis,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
And then his supporters, his cronies, his sycophants. So they say, "Yeah, it was Willis. It was Willis. It was Willis. It was Willis." And so Bull Manure said, "Get up the front here, Willis." And he looked straight at me, this close to me, right? And he said, "Did you flick that ink?" Straight in the eye. I said, "No, sir, I did not."
Mm. Yeah.
And he said, "Well, the other kids say that you did it."
Mm.
"Well, I don't care. I didn't do it."
Mm.
He said, "Okay, well, everyone's staying back for 3 hours tonight.
Mm.
Sit down."
Yeah.
And this went on for months.
Oh, really?
Tormented and bullied and all the rest of it. And I had some of them have said to me in the lunch break, "Why don't you just say you did it, and then he'll leave all of us alone?" I said, "No, I won't. I'm not going to be a fool guy. I'm not going to do it."
Yeah.
No, I know the difference between right and wrong, and this is wrong.
Yeah.
It's up to the leader. It's up to the perpetrator to tell Bull Manure what happened.
Yeah.
And if he won't do it, I'm not going to just lie that I did it to save the rest of it. Forget it. Well, of course, this makes public enemy number one.
Yeah.
And there was one of the ringleaders, his name was Peter Svensson. And so he used to follow me home from school and torment me. They call him Inky Stinky, show us your pinky. Inky Stinky, show us your pinky. All of this. Anyway, one day I'd had enough, and I turned around and I flattened him, right, onto the grass, onto the, just onto the ground. Yeah, and I was just close to him, and I pinned him down. I said, "Look, you say that again to me, and I'm going to hurt you big time." Oh, okay. Turned out he was a coward, just like the rest of them.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Okay. And you know something? He never followed me home, never said another thing to me from that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's another time or situation where you need to show a bit of courage. Know the difference between right and wrong and stand up for what's right.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oof.
Pinky, show us your pinky. I don't know who invented that, but one of those kids did, and they tormented me for 2 years.
Yeah.
And but not for turning. I said,
yeah.
No, I don't care if everyone hates me. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. Oh man, I admire that for sure. And once you stood up to him, did it stop, or did they increase their?
I stood up with that one guy who followed me home.
Yeah.
He never bothered me.
Yeah.
Coward.
Yeah.
And bullies are cowards, essentially.
Oh yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. So courage manifests in all sorts of weird and wonderful ways, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, absolutely, so powerful. And I can, if you don't mind me making the observation, I can just really see how that experience, like, and then having that and taking that into these business experiences and things like that, where it's like, no, I didn't let the bullies get to me. I'm not going to let, public speaking or, I can just kind of see how some of that fueled, at least from my perspective.
It's a bit of a metaphor, I guess.
Yeah.
Life.
Yeah.
Stand firm, hold firm. You've got to believe.
Yeah.
Stay true to the belief.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, I really admire that, because I can tell you, I myself, especially in my younger years, wouldn't have been that strong. I was definitely the people pleaser, the avoiding conflict and that kind of stuff. It's like it's only in later years that I've had to work through that and be able to, be in those situations where I could have stood up to that sort of thing. So I very much admire
Well,
it.
even the work that you're doing now, you had to break through. You had to break through, comfort, break out of your comfort zone
Yeah.
and do things, start a business,
Mm.
prospecting, talking to people, all of those,
Mm.
all of those activities. That requires courage
Mm.
to do that.
Yeah.
And not everybody has that. Not everyone has that courage.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Although I think now I've surrounded myself with so many people doing all the same thing, I don't see the world the same way. Like my older friends who still have 9 to 5 jobs and stuff, we don't catch up as much. We don't talk as much because we just don't have as much in common. And so, yeah, I have a very skewed frame of reference now. It feels like everybody does this online thing now, don't they?
Yeah, we're living in our own little silo. This is the era of silos, of course.
Yeah.
So, we forget that the way we think is quite different to the way the majority of people think.
Yeah, definitely.
Exclusive group in a way.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Anyway, thank you for sharing all of your amazing, powerful stories. There's so much for all of us to learn here, and I can definitely see this pattern that you have gone through in all of these situations, and being brave and stepping up to the next level. I have one question I like to ask people kind of at the end, and that is, if there's anybody listening to this who is thinking about doing their next brave thing, maybe it's the public speaking, maybe it's just talking to more people, getting on the phone, that sort of thing, but they're hesitating, they're holding back, or they're feeling like now's not the right time, or I'm not ready yet. What advice would you have for that person?
Well, normally I'd say just do it anyway. What's the downside?
Yeah.
There's no such thing as perfect timing.
Yeah.
If you put it off, if you procrastinate, the urge to do it will dissipate. So, if you say, I'll do it in 6 months' time, well, guess what? It's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
In 6 months' time. Just seize the opportunity that's ahead of you. You make your own luck and create your own opportunities and just do it. Action conquers terror. ACT. Great acronym. Action conquers terror.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Awesome.
So just do it.
Okay.
And the timing wasn't exactly perfect in one sense. It doesn't matter. You'll make up for it. But you're learning, you're creating a new skill set for yourself. What's better than that?
Yeah.
Got to be good.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So powerful. Oh, thank you so much for all of your time today on the podcast. It has been amazing. We'll, of course, have links to your stuff in the show notes, but just for anybody who's listening and wants to jump straight in and not have to read all that stuff, where can people connect with you? How should they get in touch?
Well, they can connect with me on Facebook. I don't use it that much now, but I still check in once a day. Kim Willis, but probably more. It'd be better I think LinkedIn would be better because I'm there a lot. So it's Kim J Willis. J is my middle initial. Yeah. Reach out, say hi.
So,
Happy to talk.
Thank you so much. Is there anything you want to say before we finish up?
No, except to say thanks for the opportunity again, Tiffany. I love your courage and your vision, and the fact that you're pushing forward, you're innovating. Great stuff. Keep it up.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Awesome. Terrific. Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Business Bravery podcast. Has this episode inspired you to do something brave? Even if it's only send a difficult email, please share it with me on Instagram or other social media channels. Feel free to tag me at Tiffany G Studios. That's TIFFANY. G for golf, STUDIOS, no spaces, no underscores, etc. Or you can use the hashtag Business Bravery Podcast so that I can cheer you on, and together we can inspire other coaches and course creators to do brave things in their business and life. Now, I'm Tiffany, and I'll leave you with this one last thing. What's one brave thing you're going to do today? It doesn't have to be big. Even the smallest steps can create the most massive results. So again, feel free to share it with me either publicly or privately so that I can cheer you on. That's it from me. Until next time, bye for now.